Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see Viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
So here we are at the Death Adder cages, and since I talked about risk, I am not going to even open that cage door with my fingers because I consider that risky, because the Death Adder is absolutely within striking range of that window, so I am keeping a safe distance. Now, I've been feeding these guys every other week, and that doesn't seem to be satisfying them. You know, the measure that I use is, can you see their backbone? And the answer is no. So this is a well-nourished snake and really doesn't need weekly feeding. However, I think they expect a treat every week. So that's why this week I'm giving them something small like a quail chick and not a mouse, which, you know, has a lot of fat and other bulk and stuff. The snake is already thinking, shut up, Viperkeeper, and let me have it. It's like laser focused on it. Now, I don't want it to hit the water ball. I want it to hit the target, so we'll dance it over here. And maybe we'll take a swing for it. There we go. There we go. It's happy now. And there we go, a little happy Death Adder, head nodding. Again, this is a smooth Death Adder from Irian Jaya in Indonesia, which is right next to Papua New Guinea. If you look at a map of Papua New Guinea and Irian Jaya, there's a border that splits the island right down the middle. These snakes are indigenous to the entire island. However, Papua New Guinea doesn't export their animals, so Indonesia does, and so I got these from a exporter in Indonesia. And these, of course, everything that I have is legally imported, goes through the scrutiny of U.S. Fish and Wildlife when they're imported. They inspect the shipment, they sign off on it. There's a special form which they fill out and stamp. It's called a 3177. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Form 3177. So everything is legal and approved when I bring it in the United States. I don't do poaching. You know, I don't call the blue insularis, you know, Komodo island pit vipers. They're found there. However, that's not the only island that species is found on. It's found throughout Indonesia on many islands. They come in yellows, they come in turquoise, they come in blues, they come in greens. And you can get all those colors from one litter. Although the yellow ones are found on a particular island in Indonesia called Wet Tar Island, so they're known as the Wet Tar Island pit vipers. These are known as the blue ones that I have are the Lesser Sunda Island pit vipers, and that comes from a whole group of islands. So just to make sure that everybody is aware that all my animals are properly legally imported. This is why I am allowed to do business with zoos and other institutions, because I have all the paperwork to back up the fact that these animals are legally imported. So we'll let her munch, and we'll move on to the smooth Death Adder. And again, because these have been quite energetic recently, I will I'll use the hook to open it up. Unfortunately, it's being difficult in not opening all the way, but hopefully you can get a reasonable view of her. Oh, we saw her move a little bit. She's inching forward.
Oh yeah.
And again, you know, this animal is, you know, well nourished. She was born here in 2016. Her sister is above her. These are smooth death adders from the same area of Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. They come from the wetter sides of the islands where there's more moisture, where the rough death adder comes from a drier area. Now, with these special tongue forceps that I have, I'm dancing it as really close to it as I want to get, because these are not like my 2-foot big tongs. This, you know, my hand is close to the doorway, and to me that is increased risk, but I think it's laser focused on the chick. Is it going to even go for it? Hey, oh, well, I was wondering. It probably fell back to sleep like, shut up, you're boring me, dude. Okay, so its mouth is occupied, so I think it's reasonably safe for me to use my finger to push the door close. And we got a little happy death adder going. So let's stand up and visit her sister, who's much further out and about. And she was the one that you saw in a previous video that came over and banged on the glass, and she was quite upset because I hadn't fed her yet that weekend. So I'm absolutely going to use the hook to slide the glass, and Mrs. Viperkeeper can scoot around this way so you can get a nice glass-free view. You know, I apologize, folks, but it's safer for the animals, safer for us, that, you know, we don't take them out and play with them like other YouTubers do. It's better for the animal because the animals don't like to be disturbed. They get stressed when they're handled, and we want our animals to be happy and healthy, and we want them to let go of the tongs. Come on, girlie. I don't want to injure her mouth. Oh dear. She's like, let me have it, it's mine, mine, mine. Reminds me of that cartoon when I grew up, when Donald Duck gets shrunk and he grabs his pearl and he's running around, mine, mine, mine. There we go. Oh, boy, is she happy she finally got it. Either that or she's really irritated like hell at me. It's like, you tried to take my chick once you gave it to me, Indian gibber. If you can actually use that term anymore, I don't know. It's hard to know what you can say, what you can't say anymore. But that's the smooth death adder. And again, if you look at her spine, you can see that it's well filled out. She's not undernourished. She's quite a healthy snake. This is why I try not to feed them every week, because these animals are subject to the same diseases that humans and other pets get. You know, I have lots of vet friends that you know, tell me and show and say, you know, so many people overfeed their animals, and including, you know, dogs and cats, and they suffer from heart disease, liver disease, diabetes, all these things. You know, snakes can get, you know, heart disease and fatty liver disease and all those other things. So we try not to overfeed here at the lair. This is why every week I don't feed Pink. She gets fed every 3 weeks, and generally something relatively small. So, you know, sometimes, you know, you don't see the animal for a while. Doesn't mean that they're not still here at the lair. It's just that we haven't gotten around to feed them, or the feeding event is so short that they just grab it and disappear into their hut, and there's really not enough video to make a segment worth posting. So we'll shut this and let her carry on.
She was not going to let that go.
No. Here, just Well, as you can see here, for those of you who watch on a regular basis, we're at Mr. K's cage, which sadly is empty. Yesterday morning I found him deceased. I have no idea why. He was certainly a regular feeder, never missed a meal. The only thing that he would do is he would strike the plexiglass really hard, and has actually knocked himself sort of unconscious a couple of times. I'm wondering if he did that and didn't recover. Other than that, I have no clue at all why I found him passed on the other morning. So sadly, that last video about crazy Mr. K is I think probably the last video that I have in the can for him. So you'll just have to remember him fondly like we do and move on.